Lo Wang makes a mighty comeback in the new Shadow Warrior, and wow, I was not prepared for how much I loved this game. In the words of Mr. Wang, I don't know about you, but I'm having fun. A reboot of a 1997 3D Realms game, developer Flying Wild Hog has truly created something special here with a game that nails what a successful reboot of a 90s shooter is supposed to be. All the qualities we enjoyed from the original are coupled with new graphics, features, and tech that don't get in the way of the experience, but instead help it along. Visceral, bloody melee combat, coupled together with classically styled FPS weapons, combined for many hours of face-melting, limb-severing goodness that just never gets old. The game opens with the player character Lo Wang, an assassin for hire, driving through a bamboo forest on his way to purchase an ancient sword from a collector. As the prologue unfolds, you are betrayed by the collector, or your boss betrayed him. It's a little open to interpretation. And after some brief combat, you are knocked unconscious and locked in a cage from which you witness the beginnings of a demonic invasion. After escaping from the cage, you start cutting your way through the demonic hordes in what can only be described as the most satisfying, bloody, and fun melee combat I have ever played in an FPS game. There are 3 different settings for the sword combat and how much direct control you can have over it in-game. Casual lets you just click the mouse and the game makes its own decisions on how to swing the sword. Basic lets you have some control over the direction of the swings, with the game helping you along somewhat. And Manual lets you take complete control over every swing. I played on Basic, and unless you're either totally unfamiliar with how an FPS works or a complete masochist, I would recommend that setting. Progression through the game is fairly linear, going from arena to arena, but there are areas that can be explored, and you will be rewarded with secrets in almost every level. There is a pretty decent use of these areas as well, with some minor puzzles to solve to gain access to certain areas, but none of it ever gets in the way of the carnage. On my first playthrough, I averaged 40 to 50% of the secrets per level, so there's a good spread of simple and hard to find places. I found the overall level design fun, especially the ones that allow you to enter areas you could see earlier but could not access. These aren't the mazes that we remember from the original Shadow Warrior, Doom, and Duke Nukem 3D, but they were still entertaining nonetheless, and it made me smile to see the retro secrets. These are areas that are not just nods to the original, but in fact rendered and textured in the original artwork. The firearms are given to you one at a time at certain points in the game, and unlike its 90s era predecessor, you will not find copies of them littered throughout the maps. Cash lets you purchase weapons, upgrades, and ammo through the in-game menu, and can be found by looting chests and finding it lying around on the map. There are 2 other types of currency in the game, Chi crystals and Karma, which can be used to buy powers and skills. Crystals are found at pretty much 1 per map, while the Karma is earned from kills and fighting pools of blood, which is kind of ironic considering the game is pretty much painted in blood. This is how you unlock the passive abilities and sword combos, all of which are surprisingly easy to pull off in combat since they are just a double tap movement button and then press the corresponding left or right mouse button. As with all skills menus, I found some of them to be not all that appealing, while others were entertainingly devastating and fun, but there are builds to suit defensive and offensive styles of play. It's worth noting that you will not collect enough Chi or Karma to max out all of your powers and skills in a single playthrough, so it's worth checking out all of them before picking a direction. The story is done well for a shooter, with most of it serving to shuttle you from one area to the next, but then at the end it makes a successful shift to melodrama, and I was surprised to find myself engaged in it. The best parts, though, are the dialogue from Lo Wang and the demon Hoji that is accompanying him on his quest. The humor is done really well between the 2 of them, and the comments that Wang makes during combat are spaced out well enough so that they don't become repetitive and annoying. The story nicely serves the action here, and I never felt like one got in the way of the other. I also have to mention that the soundtrack to this game is exceptionally cool and actually comes as a download with a special edition on Steam. The negatives in this game are few and far between, and really, some are going to only be a problem if you're looking for them. Some of the texture work can be a little questionable upon closer inspection. There is no multiplayer, which can be a turn-off if that's your thing. And while the pacing in the game is very nice, the boss fights tend to break the flow a little bit. The spectacle they present is very cool to look at, but mechanically they are pretty similar to each other and not as challenging as some of the large arena battles you see in the rest of the game. None of these things, though, take away from the gameplay experience as a whole, and are only minor complaints. At the end of the day, this game is just a blast to play. I am currently on my 2nd playthrough, and hacking demons into kibble is just as much fun as the first time. Shadow Warrior retails for $40 on Steam, and at the time of this writing it was on sale for the holidays at half off, while a flash sale could set it at $10. At full price, it doesn't qualify as a budget title, but even still, if you like first-person shooters and are looking for a really fun challenge, it is well worth the money.